Good evening. Welcome to the public hearing for Livingston Zoning Board of Adjustment. Today is June 25th, 2024. If you're an applicant for a D or use variance, you should be aware that such a variance can only be granted after showing that special reasons for that grant of the variance exists, and that variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the zoning plan of the Township of Livingston. You should also be aware that in order to be granted such a variance, you will require a affirmative vote of 5 members of the 7-member Board of Adjustment. Other variances require a majority of 4 members to grant that variance. In this case today, we only have 6 members. If you are an applicant for any variance and your variance is denied by this board, you have a right to appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of notice of decision, and that court may overturn the decision of this board. If you are objected to any type of variance that has been granted, you too may appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of notice of decision. If you do file an appeal, I ask that you please provide a copy of your complaint to the Planning Administrator, Jackie Hollis. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, also known as Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the Star-Ledger and West Essex Tribune, and a copy was also posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. In addition to having notice posted, notice of this meeting was placed on the township's website. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions or to make statements regarding each application at the appropriate time. When the time comes, if you'd like to address the board, please come to the front and use the microphone so we can make sure your comments or questions as part of the record. For all those returning, thank you for your understanding from last time. We had obviously a water issue. Town officials did not want to take a chance of having people in this building. So we appreciate your understanding, but we want to make sure everyone gets home safe and sound. Will you please call the roll, Ms. Khanna?
Sure, Chairman. Ms. Khan is absent. Mr. Kenya?
Here.
Mr. Affronti is absent. Mr. Shah? Here. Ms. Marash?
Here.
Mr. Sherman?
Here.
Ms. Yuan is absent. Ms. Khanna is here. Chairman Beer?
Here.
We have, and our attorney, Mr. Jemis, is here as well. We have a quorum.
And we also have Ms. Jackie Hollis,
And
our
we
planning
have-
administrator. Okay, would you please call the first applicant?
Yeah, sure. Block 3601, Lot 22, 11 Ridgewood Drive, application number 2024-13-V, Jason Chernow. Applicant seeks approval for a 2-story addition, front porch, and replace existing deck in violation of the following sections. 170-87BB3, habitable floor area, 3,520 square feet allowed, 4,186 square feet proposed, 666 square feet variance requested. 170-87CC3, habitable floor ratio, 21% allowed, 28.8 proposed, 7.8% variance requested.
And for the record, Mr. Sherman has recused himself from this application, so we only have 5 members available.
Just going to hand out an exhibit, then I'll introduce myself.
Excellent.
My name's Richard Skolnick. I have my own law firm.
Can you turn that on? There you go.
Thank you. Richard Skolnick. I have my own firm in Milburn, and I'm representing Jason and Ariel Chernow, longtime Livingston residents and community members. As you mentioned, we're at 11 Ridgewood Drive, Block 3601, Lot 22 in the R3 zone. There was a hearing on that evening on May 30th. I did watch the YouTube video. Chairman, that hearing lasted about 12 minutes before the township hall had to be vacated.
Yep.
So it got started. The architect, Mr. Miller, testified for a bit. I did take some notes of the board's comments. There were some initial impressions that, of course, we're going to address. Ms. Khan, who I see is not here this evening, thought the proposal was large for the block and a bit oversized. Ms. Khanna commented that the bulk was a little bit large. So we're cognizant of your comments, Chairman, that there were 2 FAR variances, and that in part at least the board's deliberations would be influenced by the numbers. So we take those comments seriously. We're going to explain how those comments were taken into consideration during the design phase, and we think we can reasonably address those comments by going into a little more detail, having some additional exhibits before you to explain what's been going on here and talk about some of the houses in the surrounding area. I've pressed my two experts to do a little bit better job to explain this and to go through the numbers. We believe we have a very unique situation here where the numbers themselves don't really tell the full story of the practical impact here. And that's because we have a situation where we have a permitted height in the zone of 35 feet, and we're able to keep the house at about 26 feet. So we have an unusual situation, even though we're over on the FAR, in terms of the front of the house and how it appears, we're 9 feet below. We haven't added an attic. That does not count as FAR, but we think overall, in the context, the site remains suitable. We have the language from the Randolph Town Center case on our standards for the D4 variance, because we do need that D4 variance, and that case asks the board to ask the question, does the site remain appropriate despite the deviation? Does the site remain appropriate? Can the site accommodate the proposal? Those are really the key standards. Remain appropriate, can the site accommodate? And we understand the concern, we understand the two types of FAR variances, and we're going to do our best to address that. We can do some other things, like adding landscaping, like adding a dry well, to add some benefit to the community if the board thinks that that may make sense. Doesn't it directly address the FAR, but has some impact perhaps on buffering with the neighbors if we can add some trees on the side and some benefit for drainage. Chairman, surprisingly, we lost the sixth member. And you know my client was here and
Yep.
They got pushed out because of the water problems. So, and we only had about a minute to decide whether to go for it. You know I need 5 votes. I think all the board members do.
Yes.
So we're asking for your indulgence to go for it tonight, try to present the case, and then we're going to ask for your thoughts and comments because we don't want to be in a position where we end up voting and it's 4-1. So we're going to, the board doesn't have to, you know, that, but we're going to ask for the comments so we can try to work things through. We think the site does remain appropriate. We think with a little more explanation, we can put forth information to get you to that spot. But we are going to ask for that relief after we're done to get some feedback and some comments so that we know whether to seek the vote, and we would need all 5 votes. We know that. Is that okay,
Yeah,
Chairman?
that's normal operating procedure. We don't want to see anyone fail.
I had a case very early in my career, and I'll still never forget. I had to report back to my boss that we lost 4 in favor of 1 against, and that was a tough one to do, but I've learned how to handle that in the 35 intervening years. So with that, we have Mr. Miller. You understand you're still under oath, sir? Okay, you haven't lost your licenses since May 30th. You're still an architect in the state of New Jersey. Chairman, can I go forward without requalifying him? He was qualified
Yes, please do.
on that 12-minute video from May the 30th. Okay, so we marked some new exhibits, a package of 3. Can we call that, I think it's A1, because I don't think anything was marked.
It is A1.
A1 is 3 sheets, and Mr. Miller, you prepared those sheets in conversation with me over the last couple days?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I'm going to let you take it away and talk about the issues that are here and what these exhibits are trying to convey to the board.
Yes, thank you very much. So last time when we got started, obviously we were a little bit rushed because of the water situation, and I think the plans that we produced last time after Mr. Skolnick was reviewing it, thought that we could clarify them in some way to better represent.
Excuse me 1 second.
Yeah.
Let me just grab this, because I have a broken air conditioner, and I hate to pull Frank for 1 second, but it's the contractor. Give me 10 seconds, I'm sorry.
Okay.
My apologies.
No worries.
My weight loss program, apparently.
All right, so I think these new exhibits are going to help clarify what we designed compared to what the existing is, where the deviations are, and what we're trying to do to mitigate them. So we'll start with the first floor. I have it up on the screen before me. I believe you all have the handout. There are only really two small changes to the building footprint. The areas in green, the green represent areas of addition, the red represents area of demolition, and the yellow represents changes to the deck. So you can see we're removing a ill-conceived, greenhouse bay window that was put on, that you see so often in the 70s. We were removing a portion of the deck and reconfiguring it. Although the changes to the footprint are very minor on the exterior, I think the interior changes make a dramatic difference. They really bring this house up to date, away from the 1957 split level that was originally conceived to something that a modern family would want. What we've done is create a much more open floor plan with the kitchen, dining, and family room open together, and just rework things. What this all amounts to is a net reduction in building coverage by 13 square feet. So normally people come in and they're making the footprint bigger. We're actually making it smaller. So we're actually making a change that reduces the square footage on the first floor from a livability standpoint. The existing garage is extremely narrow. It's very difficult to pull a car in, especially two modern cars, and get them in the garage and open the doors. So what we're doing is taking space away from the livable area to make the garage a little bit wider. The existing house is an extremely deep garage, which contributes to the overall FAR. And by making the garage wider, we're allowing the cars to be off the driveway now and into the garage, which is something that everybody wants. Every town ordinance doesn't want people parking in the driveway, getting the cars in the garage. And so although that is a benefit to the community, it's a downside because it contributes to our FAR, even though it's not livable space. Your ordinance allows a 450 square foot credit, and our garage is 653 square feet. So over 200 square feet of that garage is taken away from the livable space, but making the house more attractive by not having two cars parked on the driveway. So,
Okay, so let's just recap the first floor. Basically, a very slight reduction. It's reconfiguring.
Correct.
So not in terms of floor area, there is an increase because of this change with the garage credit, but footprint is just slightly less. I'm going to call it de minimis or nothing major on the first floor. Fair sort of summation?
I would say that's a fair summation.
Okay, because we're going to get to the second floor. That's where the action is.
Exactly, yeah, because it's a split-level house, there's very limited basement space. It's, a lot of the storage and the available area was really located in this space behind the garage, which we've really incorporated into the garage to have it more flexible. So yeah, the footprint changes were very, very minimal. So,
Okay, now we're on sheet 2 of the handout, which is a rendering of sheet 9 of 10, I guess.
correct, yes. This represents the existing floor plan to the right and the proposed floor plan on the left. And so the red is the lower area. We're removing the roof in that area and adding the green and blue area. The green area is 2 bedrooms and 2 baths for their children. I would say that these changes on the second floor, by reconfiguring them and creating the spaces, are really creating the spaces that people are looking for nowadays. People don't want a 3-bedroom house. The existing bedrooms were very, very small. We're increasing the sizes of the bedrooms, but they're still, I think, modest or more in keeping in line with what other houses in town, especially in this neighborhood, have as far as bedroom size and features. Our bedrooms are 12 and a half by 13 or 14, which is not excessive for a bedroom. The primary bedroom has a reasonable sized bath. I would not define the primary suite as being oversized at all. And one thing I'd like to note is that, as you can see here, the blue area represents a vaulted area. In your ordinance, the floor area is measured to the outside perimeter of the floor space. And in this case, that blue area contributes to the floor area ratio. We are proposing a 977 increase in floor area on that second floor area, but over a third of that area is vaulted space. So contributes to the calculation, but not livable space. And we looked at it and said, well, what if we eliminated this area? What would it change? So let's pull that second floor forward. Let's eliminate that vaulted area, create space in the back with roof. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change the perception or the scale of the house from the street. It creates a dramatic negative impact to the feeling of the house from inside, but no difference to the public perception of the house from the outside.
Okay, so let's just go over those numbers.
Sure.
The second floor, which includes the 2 bedrooms and the vaulted ceiling, that contributes 977 square feet of the FAR overage.
Correct.
And the FAR overage, Chairman, just to review the numbers, on the ratio, 21% permitted, that would get us 3,045 square feet. And we're proposing 28.8%. I think that's obviously the concern. That's 4,186 square feet all in. So we're over by 1141. We're over by 1141, 977. So the vast majority of it, the vast majority is coming from the 2 bedrooms and the vaulted ceiling, right? Doug, that's on the left-hand side of the second sheet here, the green and the blue.
Exactly, yes.
Right? So
And
that's
a third of
really
that-
most of what we're talking about. There's some relatively minor. On the other standard, when you floor area, not the ratio, 3520 permitted, same 4186 proposed. By that standard, we're over by 666. So that's a little more forgiving standard, but we know we have to comply with the ratio. So on the ratio, we're over by 1141, 977, I'm going to call that 90%, 85, 90% of it is really coming from those 2 bedrooms and the area, the vaulted ceiling on the second floor. That's most of what we're talking about. That's what's at stake tonight. I'm going to characterize it. We're getting to the arguments, but we want to make sure it's properly framed in front of the board. So we're all in the same. I looked at that video. I didn't really feel like we were all discussing the same thing. It was just a number. Okay, so we have that, Doug. You've explained now that 85, 90% of the variance is to add the 2 bedrooms, that vaulted area. You've gone through, in your opinion, the bedrooms, the bathroom size, the closet size, not crazy, not significantly more than modern families are looking for today as they look to redo older houses.
Correct, yeah. It's very in keeping with other houses in this neighborhood that have sold recently. And one thing to note is that we couldn't make these bathrooms any smaller. They're physically as small as you could fit a shower, a toilet, and a sink. We're not asking for huge vanities, luxury items. We're asking for practical spaces for Jason and Ariel to raise their family. We're asking for reasonable sized bedrooms that, when you look at the size of the bedrooms in the existing house, just weren't practical. So we're asking to add another bedroom and a little bit more space to make the house more livable. Some vaulted area that makes the interior of the house much more enjoyable without diminishing the impact on the community.
Okay, and this area, the green and the blue on the left-hand version, you're taking the existing roof off, I take it?
Correct.
It's 1 story there, you're going to take the roof off and build above it.
Right, yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about the sight lines and the height and all that in a minute, but most of this bulk is really in the rear, right?
Correct.
So could you comment on that from an architectural standpoint? I know Mr. Passolano is going to have some thoughts on that.
Yes. Yes, when you look at the house, we are on the setbacks on both sides. Yes, we need a side yard setback variance on the right side for the existing non-conforming condition, but for within 10 inches, it's the allowable width of our house. of the width of a house on our lot. So the public perception, if we just wanted to go straight across the front, is within reason, and we're keeping the house very low, like we talked about, and in my next exhibit, I think will show that a lot more clearly. So, but, just getting back to these room sizes, they're not egregious, they're, I think, within reason. So let's kind of move on to the next slide. This is the third sheet of the handout that I gave you. And it's a little confusing at first blush, but I think as soon as I explain it, it'll become perfectly clear. The background here is the front elevation of our house, which is part of the original plan set. Then what I overlaid.
Okay, so let's just take this slowly.
Yes,
What you have here is the proposal,
correct.
right? That's the drawing.
Yes.
Okay, then we have the green line.
Right. We have a green line, and the green line represents the roof line of the existing house.
Okay, so let's take it from left to right, all the way on the left-hand side. Right there you're going up a little bit, and then so let's.
Right, yeah,
if you
so
put
we
the-
go, the green, it's the roof, there's a gable on the existing house. It slopes up, then across the main ridge. And we're dropping our roof about 1.5 feet from the existing along the left side. And then as we go across, their house drops down, and this is where the added addition is coming in, this section of the house here. And that's to create enough height for the bedrooms that we're proposing. The red line represents the maximum building height. So in this zone, you're allowed to build 35 feet. So if we wanted to build from setback to setback up to the maximum building height, we could theoretically build a house that would infill that red section. So and that would be conforming for FAR, building coverage, and everything else. So a wall of house that tall, that high, with a steeply pitched roof would create a much greater impact to the community as far as bulk is concerned compared to what we're proposing here.
Okay, this is to scale, I take
This is
it,
to
right?
scale, yes.
This is to scale, and we're saying, look, if there was a knockdown here, somebody could go up to 35 feet,
Correct.
right? So it's about, and we're at about 26, although it goes up and down a little.
26 at the highest point. We're lower than that everywhere else. So we're keeping it much lower. And by keeping the house lower, we're preserving the air, light, and open space. We're not creating shadows or negative impacts to the neighborhood, where a new house that would max out the height would have. And so, I think if we put our house next door to this theoretical house that's, that you probably see all over town, that they look at setback to setback, let's go up to 35, create the huge attic, create, 10-foot first and second floor plans, everything that your ordinance allows you to do. And we put these houses side by side on the same street, and you drove by and you said, hey, which one has the bigger FAR? You would say the 35-foot one, not our house. So I think in this case, when we look at the public perception of what FAR is, in our case, because we don't have those attics, we're trying to keep our house low, the numbers really don't tell the story. I know you look at something and you say, wow, look at that deviation, look at these numbers, that's too much. But then when you look at what the difference is between a conforming house and a non-conforming house, and you compare them side by side, if you had to say which one was which, in our case, you would always say our house is smaller. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to use architecture and design and consideration for the community to take a lot, redesign the floor plan by preserving an existing house, not tearing it down and building over it, a house that has been in the Sharonell's family since 1957, which has some sentimental value to it. How do you take a house that they built and reimagine it and bring it up to date and really make it something that he and his family can really use and enjoy for years to come? And that is not what you often see. It's bulldozer comes in, tears it down, and creates a new house. So we do have hardships. We do have issues with trying to work around an existing house, dealing with lack of space in the basement, lack of space that you could easily create in another style house. Yeah, we could have gone up with big pitch roofs and made the house look more massive, but we wanted to have something that really looks like it fits on the street, and that kind of brings me to our next exhibit.
Yeah, but per the ordinance, an attic doesn't count as the FAR.
It doesn't,
So
no.
you could go higher, So we really push that attic space
Right,
in terms of, that doesn't count towards FAR, into low usable space, mostly in the rear of the house.
correct,
Is that
yes.
fair?
It is a fair
You know,
assessment.
from our perspective on,
Right.
on how we've sort of tried to strike that balance between the community and the zoning standards and not, and the massing considerations that are clarified, so to speak, or set forth in the strict numbers that we have to follow.
Exactly.
Okay, so there was obviously a balancing, like all zoning matters here, and obviously from an architectural standpoint, you feel like the balancing was reasonable, given we are 9 to 10 feet below. So that has an impact on massing, I'm sure, in
It
your
does.
opinion.
It does, and, you know, it's not like we sat down and said, let's design, you know, this house. It was an iterative process. We sat down with the client. I sat down with Jason and Ariel and said, what are we looking to do? How do we achieve your goals? You know, they said, let's do this, let's do that. And I said, you know, let's work together and try to make something that really is scale appropriate, not something that you're going to drive by and be like, whoa, look, does that house really fit on that lot? You know, the numbers may say one thing, but the public perception and the feeling from the street is another. Yeah, I think our lot can easily accommodate the bulk, especially with the way the house is designed, keeping it low slung, keeping it, you know, in more scale appropriate. And that's something that, you know, I'll move on to the next exhibit to show. So this you had last time, it's just up on the screen again. So
This was part of the original plan set, so we're not going to remark that, Mr. Jemis. This is part of, just call out the sheet number here with
this
the,
is P1, one of one.
okay. And so the left is the photo of the actual, I take it?
Yes, the left is the photo of the existing house, the right is what we've proposed. And you can see, they look fairly similar in size. You know, one house doesn't look that much bigger than the other. So what we're trying to do is use a variety of architectural elements. We're using a variety of materials, a variety of textures, different roof lines and different heights to break down the scale and not make that one big boxy house. So by having, you know, the roof lines pitch in each different direction, create visual interest. And if something is, you know, if someone wears a outfit that has a pattern on it, it breaks down, you know, them. It's not just one solid thing. So by having the house, you know, in different colors, different materials, different textures, really enlivens the house, makes it much more attractive. And you know, I just want to stress again that, you know, by using this variety of roof lines, we still kept it low, and as we've stressed before, 9 feet lower than was required. So I think you can clearly see the bulk is really disguised. I think you'd be hard-pressed to say that this house is significantly bigger than the other. And so I think this will have a very limited impact on the neighbors. You know, we kept the left side 1.5 feet lower, as I said before. On the right side, where there's vertical intensification, we're 18.08 feet away from the property line, where only 10 feet is required. So we're really trying to keep the house, you know, and really keep that open light and air and open space available. Their house on this side is to our south. So even though we need a side yard setback, we're not creating shadow on their property. There's also very mature screening between the two houses, and they don't have any windows on that side of the house either. So the only person that would really be impacted by this are the neighbor to the right. And, you know, I think the impact would be de minimis, especially when we compare it to what the potential is.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller.
Mr. Chairman.
Pretty
Mr.
much
Skolnick,
covered everything.
I think so.
Thank you for indulging us. We know that went on a bit.
I'm going to suggest that we mark that Exhibit A2,
We got A2.
the photographs,
Okay.
all right?
A2 is P1, rendered.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate the time to sort of explain a little more. I don't think that really came out exactly on May 30th on what the thinking was that went into it. Now those 2 bedrooms and the vaulted ceiling are 977 out of the 1,141, pretty much the whole ball of wax.
Yes.
Okay? You want to
Any questions?
anyone
ask
have any
questions or open it up
questions?
to the
Yeah.
public, or however you like to go?
Anybody on the board?
Basically, the drawings of footprints are the same as what you presented last time, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Wait, there were no modifications from the last time at all? It's just a clarification?
Correct.
Clarification.
Correct.
Yeah, I think we really tried to come forward with the best house possible originally, and I felt that, last time it was so rushed that we really wanted to explain what we were trying to do and how we originally, the original intent of the design of the house, so that you could better understand our approach.
Question? No? Does anybody in public have any questions for this witness? Oh, back to you, sir.
Okay, we're going to call a planner, Michael Pesolano. Okay. Oh, there's two? Okay. These were online previously, right? Okay. I'm gonna have, okay. I'm gonna hand these out one at a time.
But they were submitted in the drawing?
One of them was, Mike, the first one was submitted?
Submitted but not marked.
Submitted but not marked. The second one is a new exhibit?
Yes.
We're just gonna mark them both. I'm gonna call them
I'm sorry.
A3 and A4. Can you just describe those so the attorney can have a little description? We're just gonna,
So, Mr. Skolnick, if we can be clear, the Exhibit A3 is going to be the document entitled Planning Exhibit 2 at the top? Is that correct?
Agreed.
sure.
That's A3, consisting of 2 pages.
Okay, I'm gonna take an extra copy.
That's an extra copy.
I'm trying to find the first planning exhibit on the directory here. I'm not seeing it.
And Exhibit A4, which consists of 5 pages by my count, and is entitled Planning Exhibit for Ariel and Jason Shernow.
That's correct, so that's A4.
Okay. That includes aerial photographs and photographs of other properties or this property. Am I correct?
Yes.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Prepared by myself.
okay, and
So let's get me
we gotta get
sworn.
you sworn.
Yes. Mr. Castellano, would you spell your name, please, for the record?
Yes, I'm Michael J. Pesolano, that's spelled P-E-S-S-O-L-A-N-O, licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey.
Do you swear or affirm, Mr. Castellano, that any and all statements and testimony you present to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
Consider yourself under oath, please, and I'll leave counsel to qualify you.
Thank you
Michael,
so
I
much.
understand you've been recognized as an expert previously, but could you give a brief statement of your experience in the field of professional planning?
Yes, gladly. Professional planner for over 40 years in the state of New Jersey and in Massachusetts, where they don't license planners, but definitely a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey as I speak. 40 years of experience at the municipal level exclusively, serving as in-house municipal planner, serving as consulting board planner, and now in this part of my career, appearing nightly before boards of adjustment and planning boards as an expert planning witness.
And you've been recognized as an expert in the field of planning by the various planning and zoning boards on a regular basis?
Yes, and I have served as this board's planning expert back in 2016, 2017, I believe.
And
Yeah,
your,
but
and your, and your license is in good standing as we speak.
Yes.
Okay, you've had a chance to review the application and the variances
Mr.
in light of...
Skolnick, let us qualify, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There be no objection, the witness is accepted as expert as a professional planner.
We appreciate that. Okay, Mike, you've had a chance to evaluate the various variances that are required here in light of the statutory criteria and the case law that discusses the floor area ratio variances,
Not just
correct?
a chance, but I dove in with all my limbs to understand the setting of this property and the applicable regulations, the master plan policy, et cetera.
Okay, can you give the board the benefit of your analysis here?
Yes, I visited the property and took the photos that appear as ground photos in both of the planning exhibits. But to kick off, we have an undersized lot of 14,500 square feet, where 15,000 is the minimum. So on a local street, we have a neighborhood, a very attractive neighborhood with a nice rhythm of spacing between the dwellings all along Ridgewood Drive. There are abundant signs of dwelling expansions to meet today's needs for living spaces that were clearly evident in my site visit a short while ago. I prepared two exhibits. One is to provide the basics. The second one is more specific. I am unable to put up on the screen the first one, which is the 5-page exhibit, because I don't see it on the...
That's
the
A4.
list.
The A4 is the 5-pager. Okay, the board has it in front of it.
Yes, I apologize to the audience for it not being visible to everyone. There may be extra copies of it on the table if someone really wants one. But just quickly, it's to set the stage for my planning analysis remarks. On A4, sheet 1 is a tax map excerpt showing the subject property highlighted in yellow in the center of the screen. This shows a pretty homogeneous neighborhood as to lot arrangements, typical suburban subdivision, coming into being back in the 1957 era, probably before that, because the subject home was built in 1957, as were all of the homes nearby it to the north, particularly. The next sheet is showing the zoning district where the subject property is located, showing that it and all of its surrounding properties are fully within the R3 residential zone district. Going on to sheet 3 of 5, a little more detail showing an aerial image of recent vintage. It's at least as recent as 2022. I know that because the home at the corner of Ridgewood and Broadlawn Drive is the current configuration, not the one-story ranch that sat there before, the two-story at number 2 Ridgewood Drive I'm talking about. It's the it's the home right here. That told me that this is a fairly recent aerial image. The lot lines are superimposed upon it by the presenters of this aerial image online, that is. But the takeaway for me is, as I scan visually from property to property, starting with the subject property, you can see a basic commonality of footprint sizes, and you see some variations as well. Some homes are more linear, some homes are a little more articulated, but all in all, if you study it, there's some basic commonality. Why is that important? It's important because not all of these lot sizes are the same. Not all are conforming, in fact. I'll come back to that in the second planning exhibit. Moving on to the ground photos I took in my site visit on a fairly overcast day. I apologize for the lack of blue skies in these photos, but in any case, the main point is to capture what's on the ground today on the site and the surrounding area. So page 4 takes several perspectives of the existing property. Image 1 in the upper left shows a view basically of the front and the left side. Image 2 shows the front and the spacing between that and the home to the north at number 9 Ridgewood Drive. And then image 3 shows the opposite side, the spacing between the subject home and the one at number 13 Ridgewood Drive. As Mr. Miller indicated, substantial spacing and vegetation between the two homes at this point. And then finally, in image 4 in the lower right is the home that lies to the north. The elevation, the grade changes slightly from the subject property. The elevation goes down a little bit to the plateau where this home sits today. Then finally, sheet 5 of 5 shows properties surrounding the subject property from the sorry, I'm not trying not to confuse everyone. Image 5 in the upper left is the home to the immediate south at number 13 Ridgewood Drive. It depicts, it speaks for itself. Image 6 shows the land uses, the homes directly across the street from 11 Ridgewood Drive. Image 7 shows an expanded home at 8 Ridgewood Drive. That's on the property on the curve. And then image 8 shows the newest home at number 2 Ridgewood Drive. That's the planning basics. I do that for pretty much every application. This application requires a little more detail to really depict properly the juxtaposition of the proposed development with its surrounding properties. So now I will put on screen my second exhibit, Planning Exhibit 2, which was marked earlier as A3.
Okay, there's the first page.
So A3 is busy, but it shows the important things that I want to get across. The subject property is outlined in yellow, and what the earlier tax map didn't show is indicated by these blue letter U's that are on 5 of the parcels that appear on this tax map excerpt. The U stands for undersized lot. And then the images capture some of the visuals for surrounding homes in the immediate neighborhood. Starting at going around the clock dial at number 8 Ridgewood Drive is this 10-room, 5-bedroom, 5-bath home on a lot of 13,521 square feet, which is there. It is above the 3,520 square foot maximum, and it is above the 0.21 habitable floor area ratio. Then at number 2 Ridgewood Drive is this home, new construction in 2022, 15 rooms, 6 bedrooms, 5.5 baths, 5,000 square feet, including a full walkout finished basement. The home on Broadlawn Drive is shown at number 14 Broadlawn is shown in this image, an 8-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4.5 bath home, which shows evidence of recent enlargement, modification, vertical expansion. It is above the 3,520 square foot max and above the 0.21 habitable floor area ratio. Then coming around to the subject property where is proposed an 8-room, 4-bedroom, 4.5 bath on 14,500 square feet. And then finally, just to the north of the subject property is a 9-room, 4-bedroom, 2-bath home on a lot of 13,486 square feet.
Mike, we got to try to get to the core of your testimony.
Thank you. The other important aspects of this application I touched on before, evidence in the surrounding area of homes that are either modified already or under construction. That's at 25 Broadlawn. Image 1. Image 2 is at 39 Shadowlawn. Image 3 at 14 Broadlawn, at 14 and 16 Broadlawn, and then 18 Broadlawn. So this setting says to me that property is being attended to meet the needs of its occupants. Expansions where they will work have been put on the ground today. So we have before the board application for zoning relief in the form of 1D4 variance, which is for exceeding the 0.21 habitable floor area ratio. A ratio of 0.28 is proposed for this application. We also have aggregate side yard relief in the quantity of 0.85 feet. In other words, combined side yards fall short just by less than 1 foot, and that is on the current foundation. We're not proposing to expand that. It is the existing condition. And then there is the floor area, the habitable floor area maximum of 3,520 square feet, which also must be met, is proposed to go to 4186, and that's a change of 666 square feet. So starting with what I call the negative criteria first, I want to review why this appears to me to be a good fit for this neighborhood. We have a visual element here that is probably the largest consideration of all. And as per Mr. Miller's remarks, he explained how the building was designed to be a very careful tuck and fit into this particular setting with an appropriate design that doesn't overwhelm the site or the neighborhood. In fact, it tracks very well with it, keeping a 2-story facade at the same width. That's totally consistent with what's in the neighborhood today. We have a dwelling that's really actually the median width for the neighborhood. That's from number 2 to 16 Ridgewood Drive. The median width, according to tax records, is 71 feet. This home exists today at 71 feet and is not to be expanded, except for the upper floor expansion. The side yards are not being impacted at all. It's the existing fabric of the community, so I see no evidence of anything that would be considered detrimental about that, let alone substantially detrimental. So there is nothing, in my view, that would rise to the level of a substantial public detriment. The site will exhibit neighborhood harmony. The excess FAR will be discreetly located behind the front 2-story facade. The bulk associated with the excess FAR will be contained within fully conforming setbacks. I'll call it effectively fully conforming, and we're short by 0.85 feet to be a totally conforming side yard setback. And we have lower building coverage than required that is being reduced by the 13 square feet mentioned by Mr. Miller. The 0.85 feet of encroachment in the aggregate side yard is not perceivable, in my opinion, without measurement. So under these results, I find no basis for a determination that any detriment will occur, let alone one that would rise to the level of substantial. As to the zone plan, as you know, back in 2007, the township amended its zoning regulations to incorporate the standards that we're applying for relief from right now, in response to egregious, excessively overbuilt homes. I would not describe the proposed home as anything like that whatsoever. It is a regular-sized home that fits with the homes surrounding it in the neighborhood, in my professional opinion. The zone plan itself contemplates right in this spot, 4 bedrooms, multiple bathrooms. So we're not doing anything unusual or different that the zone plan didn't already contemplate. So I see consistency with the zone plan rather than inconsistency. Now, the D4 variance requires a demonstration of the positive criteria to the effect that will the excess FAR produce problems that cannot be met by the project. In other words, can the site accommodate any of the problems that might be associated with it? So what
And that's that very particular standard that the Supreme Court set forth. It's just like the D3 Coventry Square, the D4 Randolph Town Center. Can the site accommodate the use despite the deviation? You have an opinion on that?
That is exactly what I'm explaining. The site does not even come close to producing a problem, let alone one that would alter the character of the neighborhood. As I said at the outset, the impacts are clearly visual here, if there are any impacts whatsoever. But the visual impact is effectively mitigated by the following. We have adequate conforming side yards, front yard, and height. Particularly on the height, the proposed finished product is substantially lower than the 35-foot allowable building height. To me, that fully absorbs and totally mitigates the excess FAR by that one measure alone. So it is something that the site literally can deal with in terms of any negative visual impact. It already accommodates that by the clever design of this proposed renovation. And in so doing, the project promotes the general welfare, advancing purpose A, which is a special reason in the municipal land use law and land use speak, which the general welfare is advanced by adhering to the governing body's chosen spacing and building envelope requirements for single-family homes in the R3 zone. Again, the building coverage is well below the maximum today. Will be slightly less. That's an additional mitigation measure that says to me this is not an overreaching offensive project. Compared with the surrounding homes, this will remain very compatible in size. And as Mr. Miller very eloquently pointed out, you really wouldn't be able to tell that this is deviation from the FAR requirements. We have adequate parking supply. We have adequate utilities and waste handling. So I have to conclude on the basis of those facts that the site can indeed accommodate any problems that would be associated with the additional habitable floor area ratio. The bulk relief, which is the habitable floor area, the aggregate side yard, can be approved pursuant to the C2 analysis, which is a weighing analysis. Do the benefits of granting that relief substantially outweigh the detriments? And I believe that it does. This is part of an overall beneficial project which largely conforms to the building requirements and improves the suitability and functionality of living space for the applicant. Given the substantially lower building height than permitted, the minute side yard deficiency is actually less visually impactful to the neighbors than would be the case for a full height structure that is built to the aggregate side yard minimum requirement. So the purpose A, promoting the general welfare, and purpose C, promoting adequate light, air, and open space are the public benefits that go on the positive side of weighing this variance relief. As to the habitable floor area overage, the new construction on the subject lot will enhance the appearance of the built environment, advancing purpose I, which is to advance and promote a desirable visual environment. This is a specific piece of property that this relief would apply to. So the requested bulk relief can be approved by virtue of the benefits of the project as a whole, outweighing substantially any detriments, and that is pursuant to the Pullen case, where you look at the project as a whole, not parse out each individual variance. The application satisfies the statutory criteria for approval of all requested relief, and respectfully, I submit that your approval is warranted. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. We appreciate that, the time you've given us.
Yes, thank you.
Tried to explain the project in full, how it fits into this setting.
Are you going to have anybody else, or
That's it.
That's what you got.
That's what we got.
does
We're trying-
anybody,
We're trying to be, we don't think it's that complex at the end of the day.
does anybody have any questions for this witness? Anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Anybody want to make a statement at all?
I'll make a statement. So, thank you for your witness. I appreciate the details that you have shared, and I think the fact that the Shernows have lived in this house since 1957 is generations of the family have lived. We definitely want to keep the family in town, so that is one. But that does not. The application is separate from that sentiment. Even though there is floor area and floor area ratio both in the application here, it is essentially keeping the same footprint that the existing house is. And I also appreciate the fact that even though the roof could be 35, you are keeping it at 26. Aesthetically speaking, it wouldn't look nice in any case, but I do appreciate that we are keeping it low. So I think it's a good improvement. It modernizes the house, and we've seen enough evidence of the neighborhood and the kind of properties and developments that have happened. So I think it was good for me.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to?
I too appreciate the thoughtfulness with the building height, and I appreciate that you didn't max it out. And I agree that it's an upgrade to the community and fits in quite nicely with the other remodeling that's gone on.
I concur with my friends here, but yeah, glad you kept you did a lot of improvement by keeping the footprint as the previous house, so thank you very much.
I'll just add, I appreciate all the explanation that was given. That does help the board a lot to clarify the intent of the project and how you tried to minimize what was going on. Because it's still, difficult, but I think this helps a lot.
We tried it
Yes.
best we could.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody?
Chairman, I had asked at the beginning, I think there's a sense, but I don't know if Mr. Shaw, would be willing to share, because I don't want to go home with a 4-1 vote if he has.
I concur with everybody's.
Thank you. That's my job. It's my job not to have that same phone call I did that I still remember 34 years ago.
Chairman,
you,
if
Mr.
I'm wrong, correct me. If we look at the variance DD, it allows them as long as they keep the footprints of the house in the same area. So I think you're in good shape.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. I appreciate it.
Would somebody like to make a motion then?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Call roll.
All right. Mr. Kenya? Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Marash?
Yes.
Mr. Shah?
Yes.
Ms. Khanna votes yes. Chairman Beer?
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's appreciated. Please call the next application.
Block 1405, Lot 12, 12 North Ashby Avenue, application number 2024-15-V, Carlos Campaverde, sorry if I mispronounced the name. Applicant seeks approval for a first and second floor addition in violation of the following sections: 170-99C2 front yard setback, 40 feet required, 24.17 proposed, 15.83 variance requested, 170-99C3 side yard setback, 10 feet required, 7.71 proposed, 2.29 variance requested, 170-87CC4 habitable floor ratio, 30% allowed, 47.19% proposed, 17.19% variance requested.
Okay, and just, you need a minute? Did you want to step out? Yeah. While you're setting up, give us 2 minutes. Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
what do you got?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. George Held, I'm the architect for the project. Mr. Carlos Pino is with me, he's the owner of the project.
Okay, would you like to swear him in?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I've testified as an architect all through the state, but I've never had the privilege.
Let him swear you in
Let me
first,
swear you in first.
Okay.
all right?
then give us the spiel.
Mr. Held, do you swear or affirm that any and all statements you make and any testimony presented to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
Consider yourself under oath. Is it Mr. Campoverde? Yes. Mr. Campoverde, you're Carlos Pino Campoverde, is that correct? And do you swear or affirm that any statements and testimony you give to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
That's right.
Consider yourself under oath. Mr. Held, would you be kind enough to give us your credentials?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. George Held, 600 Getty Avenue, Suite 307, Clifton, New Jersey. Licensed architect for 46 years with my own firm for 36 of those years. Over that time, my firm has designed and constructed over 2,600 buildings, ranging from school buildings to retail complex centers, car dealerships, high-end commercial, high-end residential, and in some cases, smaller projects like the one we're presenting to you this evening. I've testified throughout the state from Ramsey all the way down to Toms River as a licensed architect.
And your credentials are in good standing?
And they are.
Respectfully, Mr. Chairman, I suggest that the board consider qualifying Mr. Held.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objections, the witness is accepted as an expert in architecture as offered. And just for the record, Mr. Sherman did return for this application.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. I'm not familiar with your system, so.
Neither am I, Jackie.
So I have my own boards, if that's easier.
Mr. King.
Go plans. Perfect. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. This is 12 North Ashbury Avenue. This is an interior lot just south of Mount Pleasant Avenue. The lot is 50 by 100. And by nature, it is an undersized lot for the zone, which is an R4 zone. The lot is bounded by residential on the north side and on the west side. To the east side is a vacant lot. And to the south side, which is very important, is a commercial property, which is presently a car dealership. This is an existing one-story structure on this site. It presently has 3 bedrooms, 3 small bedrooms on the first floor, a very small kitchen, dining area, living room, and an enclosed porch. The project we're proposing this evening is to renovate the first floor, leaving 1 bedroom, expanding the kitchen, adding a usable bathroom to this floor. And the second part of the project will be adding a second floor to the building, which will add a primary suite with a primary bathroom, 2 bedrooms, and a main bathroom. This project is compliant with your ordinance with a few exceptions. One is our front yard setback. We have proposed to locate the second floor addition back from the front of the house, giving us a little bit more front yard. And on the south side of the house, we're pulling the south side elevation in 5 feet, which will give us more room or more side yard setback on that side as well. So we are trying to work with your setbacks, understanding that the existing home is located where it is. So our front yard setbacks are required 30 feet, the existing is 16.5, proposed is 24.17. So as I said, we're moving the second floor back to give the front yard a little bit more room. Side yard setbacks are required to be 10. We have 16.7 on the driveway side and as little as 2.71 on the north side, or the south side, I'm sorry. That we are proposing to be 16.7 and 17.1 by moving that addition 5 feet north on the existing structure. The larger variance here is the habitable floor area ratio. Required in this zone is 30%. The existing is 27.86. The proposed is 47.3. I'd like to point out, because this is an undersized lot, if we had the square footage required in this zone, which is 9,375, by the area of the existing house proposed, we'd be down at 25.5%. So therein lies our hardship. The undersized lot is keeping us down within the minimum habitable floor area. We are trying to work with that as closely as possible. We've designed, I think, a house that is comparable to the other homes in the area. These are not oversized rooms. The Pino family bought this house with hopes of moving to Livingston to live here. Like most growing families, they need a little bit more room. So this addition will afford them the livability on the first floor and give them the bedrooms on the second floor. I need to get to the elevations. Okay. So the dotted line you can see here represents the existing roof line on the house. Because we are shrinking the second floor and not building out to the same extent on the first floor, the actual height increase from ridge line to ridge line is only about 8 feet. We are designing the addition still with hip roofs to minimize the overall impact of the appearance of the home, so the house will stay within the confines and the architecture of the original structure by still keeping the roof line as low and compact as possible. One of the photographs we sent, let me see if I can get that. I'm having trouble. You'll get it? Okay, perfect. So if you could see, this is the photograph of the front of the house. If you'll notice, to the right of the house, where our property line, we're only about 2.5 feet off that property line. There's a heavy stand of trees that separate this property from the commercial property, which is a car dealership. So for the most part, this house overlooks the roof of the car dealership. So really, the stand of trees will act as a perfect buffer between the two properties. And that's the side of the property where we're closest. That's our close property line at 2.7 feet. So we are moving the second floor, as I said, over 5 feet, increasing that side yard. I think it'll work nicely with the architecture of the home, still afford the Campoverdes the square footage they need to make the house work. It is their hope that they will move here, raise their children here. The bedroom on the first floor is a future room for one of their in-laws that may have to move with them at some point. So this home will afford that. I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
So minor correction, you said car dealership, but you mean gas station?
Yeah, the property to the south of us here is a gas service station.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said dealership. so
Yes.
I'm correct.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Yes, I do have a question. So you are pushing the front back a little bit to be more
Yes.
compliant?
Yes, we are not aligning with the front porch. We're going to be back 8 feet, so we're pushing the front second floor back.
Okay, and similarly, the south
The
side,
south side, which is our smaller side, which is 2.7 feet
Right.
now, we're moving that second floor wall off 5 feet to increase that side yard to 7.7 feet.
okay, and then there'll be a second-story construction.
There'll be, that will be the second floor.
I think for clarification, the first floor is staying the same, the second
We
floor
are,
is being...
the footprint of the house is remaining the same. We are not increasing the footprint of the home at all.
Nor decreasing it. So, okay. Is that better? Okay. And you're, on the left side, you're removing the fireplace, and on the right side, you're removing the side entrance.
We are, that
So
also.
you're giving a little bit
there
more
is a
space
small-
on either side.
Yeah, the small side
Well,
entrance to
visually.
the south side we're removing, and the fireplace and chimney on the north side will be removed as well.
Anybody else in the board have any questions or comments? Does anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Please.
Mr. Held, in terms of the qualifications in order to satisfy the requirements of expanding the floor or accepting the floor area ratio, is it your determination as an expert that the proposed development as designed has adequate capacity to accommodate the additional floor area ratio without detriment?
I believe it is, yes.
All right, and that you believe that this design is appropriate for the neighborhood and what it's being...
I think if you take a look at the overall homes in the neighborhood, this house is actually a small, undersized house on this undersized lot. The house is actually a little run down. The elevations we propose will be a new home. We're re-siding the house, new windows, doors, new roof, so the appearance of this home will be a new structure. I think it'll be a nice improvement to the overall neighborhood, as well as a good home for the Campoverdes to raise their children.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. Where is your garage? What are you proposing for the garage here?
The garage is existing.
Or in the back?
It's in the back of the lot. It's a detached garage in the back of the lot.
And that's not changing, just being
That's not
cleaned up?
changing. We are not affecting that garage.
And just to be clear, you said that if this was a full-size lot, you would be basically within the...
If
Floor area
this
ratio.
was a 9,500 square foot lot, with the square footage we're proposing, we'd be at 25%. We'd be well underneath your HFAR requirement.
And your floor area is almost 900 square feet, less than what's required.
Yes,
So it's a very modest house.
I believe it is, yes.
Did I ask if anyone in the public had any questions? Okay. Does anyone in the public want to make any statement regarding this application? Anybody The board want to make a statement? If you want, you don't have to. Not necessarily.
It's a rather narrow, shallow lot, and I appreciate the fact that you are creating a bigger yard in the front and a little more space on the north side of the south side of the property. So distancing it a little more from the gas station, because when I went, it did concern me that it was so close to the property line. So I think thoughtfulness I appreciate. I think the upgrade that you're doing is modest and probably needed for a family. So, and like you said, you're not really, if it was a normal sized lot, you would not be here.
That's correct.
So for that reason, I think I'm in favor of this application.
I also give some common feedback here. I pass that property every day, going into work, coming back. And when the house went for sale, I looked at it, and finally, I guess you purchased it. And by you doing this addition, it's going to be very good to the neighborhood, so thank you. So I can now enjoy my ride going to work and back.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make it, since it's on my way to work, so.
I'll second it.
So, Mr. Kenyon?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Ms. Khanna, Mr. Shah?
Yes.
Ms. Marash?
Yes.
Ms. Khanna votes yes. Mr. Beer, Chairman?
Yes.
We have a motion. Congratulations.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, let's call the next one as soon as you're ready.
Yeah.
Keep it rolling.
Moving right along.
Block 2200, Lot 45, 9 Westminster Drive, application number 2024-6-V, Manoj J. Papalil, pardon me if I'm mispronouncing. Applicant seeks approval for a second floor addition in violation of the following sections: 170-97C2 front yard setback, 60 feet required, 40.02 proposed, 19.98 variance requested. 170-97C4 rear yard setback, 50 required, 33.5 proposed, 16.5 variance requested. 170-87CC2 habitable floor ratio, 18% allowed, 27.04% proposed, 9.04% variance requested.
Okay, who do you got? Who's here? Okay.
All right, would you, gentlemen, please provide us with your names and spell them, please?
Yuval, Y-U-V-A-L, Wellish, W-E-L-L-I-S-C-H.
Do you swear or affirm that any and all testimony and statements you give to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
Consider yourself under oath, and your credentials, please?
I've been in front of this many times. Licensed architect in New Jersey, and my condition and
I'm just about hearing you, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. My license is valid and in good condition, and I've been before this board many times,
All right, thank you.
and many other towns all over the state.
All right. Mr. Chairman, for architecture we're talking about?
I'm sorry?
Did I say you're going to give testimony in architecture?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Chairman?
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objections, the witness is accepted as an expert in architecture.
Sir, would you provide us with your name and spell it, please?
My name is William Scott, S-C-O-T-T.
Mr. Scott, do you swear or affirm that any and all statements you make to this board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
Yes, I do.
Consider yourself under oath, Mr. Scott. Would you
Yes.
provide us with your credentials?
I am a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I've had my license in good standing since 2004. I've appeared in numerous boards throughout the state of New Jersey. I have not appeared before this board previously, However, I have prepared a minor subdivision that's passing through the township now.
Mr. Chairman.
And your schooling?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have a Bachelor of Science degree from the Clarkson University School of Engineering in New York State.
Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness?
No.
There being no objection, the witness is accepted as expert in professional engineering. Thank you.
Now I need you.
All right.
I'm just not familiar next time.
Jackie will be charging a fee soon for this.
No, but how do you get everything in one shot? The whole page, this is just part of it. Oh, great. Okay. Yes, very good, thank you. Very good. Hope I can make it. So, very much like the other two applications over here, we're actually talking about an existing.
Please use the mic. Yep, it's okay.
All right, over here, okay.
That's better.
So much like the other two applications, we're talking about an existing split-level house that we are actually adding a second floor, which will be the master bedroom suite, and with some interior, making the kitchen a little bit bigger, making the family room a little bit different, but we're not protruding out of the existing, excuse me, foundation line. Nor do we change any of the setbacks. What we have today, and I want the board to understand that the other houses on the street are pretty much within a foot or two, maybe less, same setback, front setback as this house. The setback is 60 feet, and all we have is 40.02. The rear setback is 50, and what we have is 33.5. The addition, the second floor, is much smaller than that. In the front, it's the same. In the back, it goes in. I want to show it over here. This is the front of the house. I mean, this is the front, but when you look from the side, this is the front line. And we are receding the second floor from the line of the first from here to here, which is about 12 feet.
You can remove the mic and hold it.
Let's hold fingers and see if it goes. Okay. So as you can see on this one, it's the same thing. This is the addition of the second floor.
Mr.
and
Chairman?
Set back.
Mr. Yelish?
Yeah.
Because when you turn away from the microphone,
I know, I have to get used to it.
so
Oh, I can take it out. Okay. Excellent.
present your Frank Sinatra.
You
Sorry
look
about
like
that.
a rock star now.
So this is the addition of the second floor, and this is the existing family room, which you can see over here. This is the line of the back. This is the line of the front when you look from the side. And this is the second floor, which is from the front is about 6 feet in, from the back about 11, 12 feet in. The first thing that I want the board to know is that the size of the lot is less than half of what the zone is considering as a minimum. The minimum is 25,000 square feet, and we have 11,254. So if this addition, which brings the house to 3,034 square feet, would be on a normal lot, we wouldn't be here because we would be at 12%, whereas the maximum allowed is 18. Right now, we're asking for 27.02. That's, I don't remember that number. So basically, we're way under what would have been a normal lot. Okay? why we're doing it, the kids are growing, they're still in the house. There was a possibility of bringing an old parent into here, so the master bedroom on the first floor would be dedicated for that, and this is why we need a new master, which is right here. What we're adding is a master bedroom, a closet, and a bathroom. Pretty much what's on the first floor as bedrooms all stays the same. All right, I'll try to get to the floor plan to show it to you. Okay, this is the first floor. Okay, whatever is in black is new, but this is actually existing. We're just changing the wall from 2x4 to 2x6 to get more insulation. All right, so all this is existing. All that is without any change. The kitchen changes a little bit because now it becomes more modernized with an island. We're taking a couple of walls over here off to make it a little bit more open, but basically it stays. The house has the same perimeter as it is now, and the garage is under. Second floor. This is the roof plan of the whole house. This is the addition of the second floor with, you can see the first floor roof on top of it. So we're going to go up here following the same staircase that we have today. Then we have a master bathroom, a master bedroom, sorry, with the toilet, with the shower, with double sink, with a tub, couple of closets, and another bedroom over here for whoever's going to come. Maybe an older parent, I'm not sure about that, but it's just in preparation. In the meantime, it will serve as a study until that comes. That's pretty much in a nutshell, but the best thing to say is this will be looking a lot better than what the house is looking today. I don't have a picture. I didn't know that I have to send the township pictures, but I will go back. This is how the house is going to look using hardy plank siding, so that's siding that doesn't get old very quickly. All right, no vinyl siding. We also have variety of trim, and if the board knows what AZEK is, it's all going to be made out of AZEK that doesn't get old. It doesn't rot like the old pine that we used to use in the olden days. And a stone skirt over here instead of the very old brick that we have today. And that's pretty much what we're going to do.
I have one quick question. There's a new set of plans that was submitted this time compared to in preparation for any change?
No, what happened last time when the water problem,
Yeah.
I got the letter from the zoning officer one day before the meeting, and there was a mistake over there. So we had to redo it.
That's what I saw.
Actually, for the better, because not only my calculations, the zoning officer calculated, we were both wrong. So now it's about 70 feet less than it was.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought it was, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify for the record.
Sure.
Does anyone on the board have any questions?
I have a question. So you pointed out that in the first floor plan, the dark black lines are the same walls, but newer walls,
Yes.
thicker for better
Yes.
insulation. Is it the same with the second floor?
The second floor is completely new.
It's completely new.
That's why it's black.
That's all black.
Yes.
Got it.
I want to, once it goes to the building department, and because I built in this town only 32 years, that's the agreement we have. I show in black what's new, and they like it.
I appreciate it.
The continuing question from my friend here, Benita. The black line in the first floor, you said that the walls are thicker. Are they more thicker sticking out, or are you pulling it?
No,
in?
no, I'm sticking in.
Sticking in?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not touching the plywood and we're taking the siding out, but we're not changing the wall. We're just adding, to every 2x4, we're adding a 2x6.
Okay, 2x6.
So it's going to be stronger
It's
and
not
more
sticking out
insulation.
of it's not sticking out of the foundation line, it's staying
No,
within
no, no,
the-
foundation is not touched. The reason to do that is because the family room, which is in the back, is exposed from both sides, the rear and the roof. And there's no doubt that it's going to be cold or warm. So that's why we're doing it.
Thank you.
So you're just sistering everything and then filling it
Yes.
in? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think-
Thank you.
Anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Scott, you're up.
I'm going to try to bring up my plan here. So this is the site plan that we prepared and was submitted. To the left of the sheet, you can see in gray the existing house. To the right of the sheet, you can see pink shaded areas that are overlaid to gray, and that will give you a feel for what's being added to the home. Mr. Welsh went over the setbacks. I wanted to zoom in on this house so you can see really what the impact of the setbacks are. This dashed line that runs through the middle of the house is the front setback. And this line that runs through the rear of the house is the rear setback. Side yard here, side yard here. So you can see approximately half of what we're proposing is we're trying to keep it within the setbacks, but it is all within the existing footprint of the building. This is the rear of the house, existing. Can you see the cursor? I don't know if you could see it or not. And the pink is the proposed house. So you can see we're setting the proposed second floor back about 12 feet from the existing rear yard. And likewise, this is the front of the existing house where the garage is. And the pink, again, is set back about 6 feet from that. And you can see both side yards very much compliant where the addition is. From an engineering perspective, it's a pretty simple project. This is a steep sloped lot. It slopes from the rear to the front, so any land disturbance is, of course, discouraged. It's a perfect lot to build on second floor above the first floor. Very little land disturbance associated with the development, access off the existing driveway. It's a wooded lot. We don't anticipate any tree removal. There's large trees on site, they're to remain. There's a minor decrease of impervious coverage, very minor. We are taking a set of stairs off of the left side of the house, I believe 38 square feet. So in theory, there'd be a minor decrease of runoff from the site. And again, I think the scope and scale of what we would have if we had the existing 25,000 square feet that is required, it gives us 12%, which is a large difference from the 18 which is allowed. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have, or
Quick question, two quick questions. Lot 59, which is behind you, I guess,
yes.
what's there? There's a house back there? Oh, I forget. I looked, and I forget what's back there now.
Yeah, you really wouldn't be able to see it. The rear of this property is about 50 feet higher than the front. So after we add the second floor to this, the roof of this house is still lower than the back of that backyard.
Yep, okay. And what was my other question? Oh, the retaining walls. Is there anything happening to the retaining walls?
We've discussed that they're just to remain as is.
Anybody else have any questions for this witness?
If I might, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Mr. Scott, I don't know if this should go to Mr. Wellish. Is it your determination, in your opinion, that the proposed development as designed has adequate capacity to accommodate the proposed floor area ratio to increase without any detriment? I'll take it from either one of you.
I believe so.
I
yes.
believe so, too.
So both of you agree?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm happy. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Anybody like to make a statement or motion? Go for it. Yeah.
I'll go for it.
So you're making a motion?
Motion.
Yes,
I second it.
there we go. You're up. You gotta give a vote.
Thank you, but you got to vote.
Give her a break.
I'm the filling in secretary tonight,
You're
so.
doing a great job.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So we have, Mr. Shah made the motion.
Yes.
And Ms. Marash seconded it. Okay. Mr. Kenya?
Yes.
Oh, I should have, okay. I guess I'm getting a hang of it. Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Ms. Khanna votes yes. Chairman Beer?
Yes.
We got all motion.
Make a motion, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
A lot of pressure up here, you know? Could you please call the next application?
Block 1304, Lot 86, 72 North Ashby Avenue, application number 2024-20-V, Pam Summers and Kenneth Klein. Applicant seeks approval for two-story rear addition in violation of the following section: 170-87L1D, front/side corner yard setback, 35 feet required, 15.7 feet proposed, 19.3 feet variance requested.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are you? Oh, screen just went black. There it goes. Like to swear everybody in, sir?
Yeah, sure. Ms. Summers, Mr. Klein, would you please state your names and spell them for us, please?
My name is Kenneth Klein, Kenneth, Klein, Klein.
I'm Pamela Summers, Pamela Summers.
Ms. Summers and Mr. Klein, do you swear or affirm that any statements or testimony you give to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
Consider both of you under oath. And how are you?
I'm doing well, how are you?
You're Mr. Appel?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Appel, would you please say, give us your name and spell it, please?
Lawrence, Laurance, Appel, Appel, Principal of Appel Design Group Architects.
And Mr. Appel, do you swear or affirm that any statements and any testimony you give to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
Yes, I do.
Would you kindly discuss your credentials with the board, please?
Yes, I hold a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering, a Master's in Architecture. I'm here to be admitted as an expert in architecture. I am currently licensed in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and Car certified. My license is current and in effect. And I have appeared before both the planning board and the zoning board numerous times.
And qualified as an architect?
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, no, I'm saying, and you were qualified as an architect?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
And could we just have your schooling?
Excuse me?
Your schooling?
Yes, I have a master's degree in architecture from Duke University.
Schooling, okay, great. Does anyone on the board have a question or objections regarding this witness? There be no objections, the witness is accepted as expert in architecture.
Great, thank you.
You're up.
I'd like to say that Pam and I currently live at 72 North Ashby Avenue. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, split level. It's built in 1960 by Mitchley. The house is on a corner lot. It faces North Ashby, but the side faces, the southern border faces Borden Place. It's a R4. We're in R4 with a 75-foot width, 125-foot depth. We're non-conforming currently on the southern border where you guys require 35 feet to be back on the side. The house is back 15 feet, 7 inches. That was built that way. I'd like to turn it over to Larry to take you through. We're planning a small addition. I've lived in the house for 34 years. Pam has lived there for 25 years. I've lived in Livingston for 60 years. We'd like to spend the rest of our lives in Livingston.
Be buried in the backyard.
Not buried, we're not going to be buried in the backyard, but
That's not non-conforming.
non-conforming. We'd like to spend it here. The last thing I would want to do is to sell this house, which I love, to one of these builders to tear it down. I don't want to do that. So I'd like to turn it over to, we're planning a small 2-story addition on the southeast corner. And Larry, if you could take them through it, would be great.
Thank you very much. I have 5 sheets here that are up. I don't think I need to mark it as an exhibit. It's identical to what you have in your packages. It's dated 4/26/24. I think the homeowners have given a little bit of an intro to where we are. This lot is undersized. Existing is 9,327 square feet, where 9,375 square feet is required. The front side yard is existing non-conforming. As was indicated, the original plat on the old survey that we found indicated that the side yard setback, what would be referred to as a front side yard setback, was required at 15 feet, where currently the zoning ordinance requires it to be 35 feet, and currently it's at 15.7 feet. There was a question, it's not 15 feet 7 inches, but 15.7. Just wanted to make sure that was correct on the record. So, and interestingly, is my understanding is that this side yard setback condition is a product of lot width. So we have 75 feet or more would require a 35-foot front/side yard setback. However, if we were an inch smaller in here, my understanding is that the front side yard setback would cut down to 20 feet. So it's just an interesting nuance about how some of these metrics work in here. So we're looking to construct a small 1- and 2-story rear addition to expand the size of the house slightly. This is to accommodate, and I will, can everyone see if I'm pointing, or do they prefer me to point physically? Just, oh, you can see the, if you can see the cursor, I'll stay focused on the mic then. Not allowing me to, let's try this. There we go. So the area in question, this drawing ZB-3 shows the existing conditions, and I'm going to switch to ZB-4, and it shows that the primary 2 pieces in here, we took an existing family room that was at the lower level. The house only has a 1-car garage and an undersized 1-car garage. We look to convert this existing family room to a second garage, which is common in a lot of residences in town. And in addition, we wanted a little extra space so that there were places for recycling, trash cans, and other storage in here as well. And so what we look to do is replicate, what was the family room just to the rear of the house behind. We're looking to have a very similar size family room, So we're not creating a larger space, we're just trying to replicate the existing space. The only new space in here is that we use what I'll call some of this no man's land. It's a larger rear hall, and it creates a mudroom. And that felt like an appropriate place, and it worked well in the scheme. Above this, we created a low roof over the new powder room, and then a two-story addition above the family room that allows us to take what was the existing master or primary suite and creates some additional closet space, and allows us to also bump out the two front bedrooms just a couple of feet into the corridor, which allows these rooms to be larger. So it's a rather small, modest addition. And some of the pieces that I would mention in here is, in addition to what we were doing with the floor planning, we tried to keep the character of the house somewhat intact. We weren't looking to make a huge change, but we made some subtle refinements. We added a portico to the front. We added a brow above the garage doors. We stepped the rear addition as it faces the side, so that there was a step in the roof. And all these things we felt were architecturally appropriate and also helped to demask the new addition. So to kind of sum up the variance, the lot is undersized, as we discussed before, in the R4 zone. We are fully conforming with habitable floor area ratio, all of the building height as well. You know, we're only 21 feet high with this addition, so all of these things are well below what is the current zoning bulk requirements and metrics. The only reason we're here is that there's an existing non-conforming front yard setback. Now, neither the existing house or the new addition meets the current side yard setback. Currently 15.7 feet where 35 is required. This necessitates a 19.3 foot variance. I want to skip to a photograph, and I'm going to zoom this in a little bit because I think this is quite telling. You can see that there is a very substantial landscape buffer at the rear of the house. And I'll push this another view of same in here. And this is helps buffer the area. The only, I'm going to go up to the site plan. This is facing Borden Place, and that landscaping is in this area over here. And so this front side yard setback is really impacting Borden Place and not any of the direct neighbors. And we felt that this is quite important because it doesn't deprive any of the neighbors of privacy, loss of light, air. So we felt that there's good reason to do this the way we were doing it. We found appropriate places to keep the addition small and compact. We are not trying to create overly large places. We looked at various places to put the addition. This is the most sensible place. Obviously, the garage needs to be right where it is. Placing the garage anywhere else will cause additional impervious coverage. There's already a two-car wide driveway there, so we're not having to do additional driveway space. So all these things kind of just fell into place and made a lot of sense and kept this from exploding into a much larger addition. So these architectural improvements we've already discussed. The rear of the property is contiguous with the side yard of the adjacent, so we have abundant light, air, as well as privacy. If the property were not a corner lot, this issue would not even exist because all of our setbacks would have been proper and maintained. We did receive a comment from the engineering department with regard to preparing a lot drainage and grading permit. This will be done when we submit for permit if the board is so inclined to approve this application. So in summary in here, we believe in our professional opinion that the proposed addition has been designed to address the existing non-conforming lot configuration. And as well, the requested relief, in our professional opinion, can be granted without negatively impacting any of the neighboring properties or any detriment to the public good. So I thank, and if there's any questions that I can answer, address for the board, I'd be happy to.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for this witness? I'll just for clarification, so your extension is not extending into the backyard any further than the existing enclosed wood deck?
That is correct. We're using that line. That's a very good observation. The one thing I would clarify in here is that it looks like the geometry is a little bit skewed, and we did match the 15.7, but if the board were so inclined to approve this application this evening, we would request, if possible, that that there's going to be a little bit of a rounding error in here. Now, alternatively, instead of doing it, building it square, we could match that 15.7. It looks like to be a fraction of a foot, it's just, a couple of inches to make it square. But if, depending on how the board acts in here this evening, we could either match that, or if the approval was based on something slightly smaller than that 15.7, and I wasn't sure how to address that. Something I noticed that when I was in the CAD file, that the geometry is not quite square. So there is going to be a slight rounding error. If we need to address that and hold that, we'll make sure that the contractor pins the foundation and holds that.
Jackie, what do you think on that? We have to hold the 15.7 probably? You agree? Yes.
Okay, that's
so
fine. I just wanted to.
No, I appreciate that. We wanna
To be clear, it's something I noticed when reviewing.
We appreciate when everyone's upfront with stuff.
No,
It
that's,
saves a lot of headaches down the road. So, okay, and you said the driveway staying the same, and all the hedging and everything else will stay as is.
Yeah, a long time ago, I bought 10 arborvitae bushes, and they told me they were going to be 6 feet tall, and that would be it. But then now they're 15 feet tall. I can't even get on a ladder to.
That's why Pam takes care of that, right? Yeah. Okay, does anybody?
One additional comment.
Oh, yeah.
We were planning also on putting an elevated deck.
It's in there.
It's in there?
it's on the, it's,
Okay.
and that part does not trigger any variances.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're good on that. Does anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Anybody want to make a statement or a motion?
I can make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Roll call. Mr. Kenya?
Yes.
Oh, I have.
You're first. He's
Oh,
second.
okay. Ms. Khanna Woods made the motion. Mr. Sherman seconded it. Mr. Kenya Woods, yes. Mr. Shah?
Yes.
Ms. Marash?
Yes.
Chairman Beer?
Yes.
Application approved. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good luck. Does anybody need a break, or we're okay? Okay, don't come crying to me. Good night.
Block 1301, Lot 633, Congressional Parkway, application number 2024-18-V, Diane and Thomas Cooney. Applicant seeks approval for two-story front and rear addition and garage in violation of the following sections. Proposed addition, 170-99C2, front yard setback, 40 feet required, 17.09 proposed, 22.91 variance requested. 170-87CC4, habitable floor ratio, 30% allowed, 35.4% proposed, 5.4% variance requested. Accessory structure, garage, 170-87E, 1D4, rear yard setback, 5 feet required, 3 feet proposed, 2 feet variance requested. 170-87E, 1E, side yard setback, 5 feet required, 2 feet proposed, 3 feet variance requested. 170-87E, 1F4, floor area, 5% allowed, 7.6% proposed, 2.6% variance requested.
Okay, Mr. Cooney?
Yes, Thomas
All right.
Cooney.
I turn you over to our,
Mr. Cooney, would you please state your full name and spell it for us, please?
Thomas Cooney, ThomasCooney.
Mr. Cooney, do you swear or affirm that any and all statements you make to the board this evening, any testimony you offer to the board will be true, accurate, and complete?
Yes, I do.
Do you have any other witnesses that you're prepared to present?
No, my architect felt confident that I could do the presentation, so I'm here with no props, no witnesses. I'm just going to advise how this project came about and what we hope to do.
all right, well, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, I'm going to outdo all of the previous applicants in terms of time in town by a long shot. So the house at 33 Congressional Parkway, my great-grandfather purchased the house. It was built in late 1928. He moved in early 1929. Before it was finished, he had to use a ladder to get to the second floor. At the time, he was a machinist who worked for Thomas Edison in West Orange. And since that time, 5 generations have lived in the house. It is our intention, if we can do it, to maintain the house in the family, with an eye on possibly having a sixth generation live there. No pressure on the kids, but that's our hope. So just a little bit of background. My mom is here. She's the last surviving relative of any of the original houses on Congressional Parkway or any of the side streets. So one of the things we wanted to do was renovate the house, bring it to a more modern standard. It has the original plumbing, original sewer. There's no insulation. The wiring was replaced sometime around World War II. It all has to go. So it needs a complete renovation, obviously. So the upgrades we want to do, and I've had a number of meetings and proposals back and forth with Mr. Emmert, our architect. We wanted to make sure that any upgrades that we did would fit the character and style of the residences in the neighborhood. Us being the oldest family in the area, we wanted to make sure of that for all of our neighbors. We do own the empty lot next to it, which is also in the family. We have resisted the temptation to merge the lots and put up a larger house that is completely out of character for the neighborhood. We don't want our family legacy to be that, which we could easily do, but none of us feel that way. We are severely limited because the original house, the one we're discussing tonight, is on a 50 by 100 lot, which is only 5,000 square feet. So based on current modern standards and codes, it's, I wouldn't say impossible, but pretty close to it to do any of the things that we had hoped. So, getting to the applications and the house itself, the intent is for the construction of a small rear addition. I say small, and you may not. We wanted to expand that to give us a little bit more floor space on the first floor, which would enable us to, once we open it up to a more open concept, have a half bath powder room on the first floor, which we've never had before. And by bringing that up to the second floor, that would allow us to maintain the sizes of the bedrooms, perhaps even make them a little bit larger. One of the concerns we had initially was the current closets are only slightly larger than my locker at Livingston High School. So that is very difficult to work with. If you make the closets any bigger, the rooms get even smaller. And one of the other requests that I'll mention is for a second bathroom on the second floor. We've only had one bathroom in there all these years, and as you can imagine, by modern standards, that is not what people do nowadays. So the addition would essentially be the 5-foot by 12-foot addition to the footprint, which is really just squaring off. If you have the photos there, you can see the kitchen bump out. We would just be squaring that off and then going up, which would allow us that additional space on the second floor, which would allow us to keep the bedrooms at an acceptable size and allow for larger closets and a wider hallway, and also the wider stairway that would be required now, which is going to actually encroach on one of the existing bedrooms. So that part of the application, the habitable floor ratio, 170/87 cc, Mr. Emmert has proposed, it's currently allowed 30%. He has proposed with the drawings that he submitted, 35.4%, adding 5.4%. So that small rear addition would allow us to modernize the house and make it more usable by modern standards, not only for our family, but down the road, if we were ever to sell it, anyone else that desired to purchase it would have all of that available to them as well. So moving on to the front yard setback for the addition of the second bathroom on the second floor. Currently, the allowable is 40 feet for that zone. Proposal of 17.09, so we're requesting 22.91. However, the addition does not add anything to the footprint of the home. It's going to go over the porch. The right side of the porch we plan to open up, make it an open porch, and architecturally, our hopes are that we can fabricate or find the original window type that was on the porch back in the 1920s to add as an architectural point. So again, that would not be exceeding the footprint of the house, just the back addition would. And based on our review of the other homes, it's pretty consistent with a number of homes on the street. I don't think it would impact anyone, certainly not any of our immediate neighbors, but it would add some character to the house while trying to maintain some of the old character. So that's what we hope to do. That would be over the front porch. So the garage, which is probably the biggest concern for us at the present time, was built on the ground. as I said, in 1928, 29, I'm not sure exactly when they built it. It is in grave disrepair. The front is actually leaning, I'd say probably 12 to 15 degrees toward the houses on Fillmore. If the garage were to collapse, obviously that's a public safety concern, but it would land on their fences and all of their landscaping, and God forbid someone was back there. So we didn't want to do anything. We certainly weren't going to be able to rebuild it where it is. It sits on the property line itself. So that wasn't going to work. So knowing that it's a possible hazard, we have an antique car stored in there right now. We plan on moving it out of there very soon. As soon as we know, after tonight and working with our architect, what we're able to do, we plan on raising it immediately, as it can't be fixed. So the new proposal, as the town requires a garage, and we can't replace it in its present location due to the setback requirements, we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. If we move it, if we rebuild a garage too close to the house or over to the side, then if we move it to the opposite side to try and conform with the setback, then that would increase the impervious coverage, which would create more problems for us down the road. I'm not sure how that would work. So some of this sampling that the architect did with the placement of the garage, depending on where it was, it would be very close to the house, and depending on the size of the car, we might have a turning radius issue. I'm not sure that would work very well. So the proposal is for to replace the garage with a new structure, which is, instead of a two-car garage, a 1.5 car, which would allow some storage space in the garage. The house is very small to begin with. Anyone who resided there would, if it was just a single-car garage with no room for any storage for lawn equipment, gardening equipment, or patio furniture, et cetera, they would ultimately put up a shed. That's what I would do. So to avoid having a shed put up, we wanted to build a car and a half, and then they have the storage they need, and at least you have some yard, because that would eat up the small backyard. So that would require us, that's where the accessory structure request comes in. It's the HFA for that is 5%. The proposal is 7.6, with the resulting in an addition of 2.6%. The rear yard setback required allowed is 5 feet. Currently, the garage is 3 feet from the back property line, so we don't feel it would impact the neighbors because it's already been there for almost 100 years. So by moving it over 2 feet, the side yard setback, by moving it over, keeps our impervious coverage pretty much where it is now. So we are requesting that variance of 3 feet. And basically, on the elevations, the garage is going to look just about like what it looks now. It's going to have one door instead of two. It's basically just replacing that. So if the board is so inclined, that's what we plan to do. Hopefully, we keep it in the family, and like I said, we're hoping for the 6th generation to live there soon.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for this witness? Offhand? I got one or two. The garage, what is the length and width of it now? Do you know?
It's on, I don't know if it's on the plan. It might be on the survey. Hang on one second.
18.5, it's going to be 18, but it's bold versus, I'm not sure. just not clear. It says two-car frame garage. And I think that's the 18.5-foot width shown. And the new, you said the new one's smaller or bigger?
I believe that the new one is slightly smaller. This is a two-car garage.
The red, the red markings are the old one?
Oh, there you go.
On the plan?
Yeah, for the
The
garage.
red is new because it's a 2-foot offset, right? Yeah, that's. And 3-foot offset, so I think the original's 18 and a half and the new one's 18?
Yes. And as you can see, it's right on the
A
property
little
line
longer.
there.
It's gonna be
It's
21
a little bit longer, which would
21 long, 18.
bring it closer to the house. But it's only a car and a half as opposed to a two. I guess the existing one, by today's standards, would be considered a car and a half. I don't think anyone would build one that small, but that's what it's been all these years.
But basically, due to the size of the width of the lot and the length of the lot, you're really constrained, and that's
Yeah,
basically all you can do to get a car in there.
There's really very little we can do. As I said, if we move it too far in any direction or try to move it to the other side of the lot, then the driveway, which goes all the way up the side of the house to the garage, would have to be increased, which almost makes your entire backyard asphalt.
And as you stated, your hardship is really the area. You only have 5,000 square feet.
Yes, very
And a
small.
9,375 square foot required.
Yes, so we're trying our best to improve it, adapting to modern standards if we can.
And the front, you're just squaring off.
Yeah, the rear,
Essentially.
we just square off where the kitchen is. It's
Right.
just a 5 by 12. And then the area over the front porch would be the new bathroom on the second floor, without having to increase any more footprint anywhere else and go up.
Does anybody else have any other questions or comments? Please.
Mr. Cooney, just to clarify something, on the survey that was prepared by Keller Incorporated, they reference Block 1301, Lot 1301, but that's really depicting your lot of 1301, Lot 6, not Lot 1301. Is that correct? Where it says title and topographic survey, and then you come down somewhere in there, it says tax lot block 1301, tax lot 1301, block 1301. But this is really your property, which is 1301, Lot 6, correct?
Yes, it's lot 6.
So we'll make that correction.
Okay. Thank you. I didn't notice that.
And your determinations, you're very familiar with the neighborhood because of what your family has owned and
Oh, yeah,
been there.
yeah. We've all
And
grown up there.
You would, in your opinion, if the board were to approve this application, the benefit from the deviations that you're requesting would substantially outweigh any detriment, is that correct?
Absolutely. I believe so.
And your determination in regard to the habitable floor area ratio, that this is an appropriate site and can be accommodated by what you're recommending.
Yes, I believe that as well.
Thank you. I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Does anyone in the public have any questions for this witness? Please come forward.
These are questions.
Tony Critelli, I live at 36 Fillmore. I'm the house behind, partially behind.
Okay.
And
One second.
Well, I'm sorry, could you say your name again and spell it for us, please?
sure, Tony, T-O-N-Y, last name is Critelli, C-R-I-T-E-L-L-I. I'm at 36 Fillmore.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. My only question would be, because there's a drainage easement through the back lots of Fillmore, and between the two properties, heavy rains, there's a lot of water that accumulates. And so I'm just curious with the new, and it's mostly with the garage in the back, if that's moved or, replaced, which is great, is any work or will anything be done to alleviate maybe any of the drainage concerns or do something different?
Well, I can tell you that the back there already slopes toward our house, where that big pine tree is by your rear fence there.
Okay.
And then behind the garage, we've never had any issues there that I'm aware of. And if we rebuild the garage, it'll be exactly the way it is now. Do you have water issues as a result of that property? Because the garage
We do.
is almost at the same.
Yeah, so, and then even within the empty lot, so, and with bad rains, we'll get water up, and it's not deep into our yard, but it's within, you know, a handful of feet of the hedges in the back, and also in the back of the empty lot. And so, the way it is now, it's fine. My concern is, you know, just stirring stuff up, and there are the couple of trees, if you had to take out the trees, anything, you know, does that change the drainage, you know, of the water?
So let me just chime in that the town will require a drainage analysis, and he cannot, and the construction on any lot cannot increase water on any adjacent lots.
Okay.
So he'll have to prove that to engineering,
Okay.
and then engineering will, you know, make sure that that's done correctly.
Okay.
Of course, if you have any concerns, please contact them too.
Okay.
And we can go through Ms. Hollis.
So on a historical note, your neighbor's house, which is behind the empty lot, that used to be a duck pond. We used to play
Oh,
in there
really?
before they developed it. So if you have water issues, I'm guessing they were there before.
Yeah, no, well, and there is a easement on our side of the property for drainage, so I'm assuming there was always some
Yeah,
water.
that was probably put
Yeah.
in, I'm guessing when they developed it, I climbed through all of the houses when they were framing them.
Yeah,
That was a duck pond, and I know they dug all the way up the street, so
Yeah.
that's probably what
Right,
it's
so
talking
there's
about.
likely a sewer line there, and the easement is to allow the utility company to get there
Yeah.
in case there's a problem.
yeah,
So they maintain, anytime it goes through property, they'll maintain an easement, which gives them rights. So you can't plant trees there, you can't put stuff there, and they can go bulldoze as they need.
sure. No, got it, that was it. I mean, looking forward to it.
Now, if
you know.
there is any concerns, I'm sure the architect will pick up on it and we'll address it. It's gonna be, and for the garage, it's gonna be new construction. If the town requires us to put some sort of stone or drainage in, then that's what we're gonna have to do. I
Okay,
don't think there'll be a problem.
perfect. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, would anybody like to make a statement or motion, or?
I want to make a quick statement. First of all, I want to thank Mrs. Cooney for her patience tonight. Thank you for visiting our meeting tonight. I wish we had known you were in the audience, and I don't know if you could have done something sooner for you, but we appreciate the 5 generations of Cooneys and probably going forward as well. I went to the property. Yes, the garage is in grave disrepair. And I had a question about the lot on the side, but you clarified that you own that lot too. So that kind of opens up a little bit. And the house does need repair. The addition, the improvements that you have asked for are, I think, probably much needed. So I think I support the application.
Thank you.
Does that mean you just made a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, Ms. Khanna votes yes. Mr. Sherman seconds. Mr. Kania?
Yes.
Mr. Shah?
Yes.
Ms. Mirash?
Yes.
Chairman Beer?
Yes.
Application approved. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, well,
Good luck.
for everything. It's really, we're going to get started right away. I'm going to get my 64 Thunderbird out of the garage tomorrow.
There you go.
It's coming out on 4th of July, is it?
You know what? We're not going to be here. We're going to be visiting my son in North Carolina on the 4th of July. It was last year. So he'll be here. Huh? That's my brother.
You're off a generation there.
Yeah, and it needs some work. It needs new brakes. It'll be there next year, I promise.
Best
Thank you
of
very
luck.
much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
All right, the final
Block 3202, Lot 1462 East Cedar Street, application number 2024-21-V, Priyanka and Karan Shah. Applicant seeks approval converting the attic to 463 square feet of living space in violation of the following section: 170-87BB4, habitable floor area 3,000 square feet allowed, 3,179 square feet proposed, 179 square feet variance requested. 170-87CC4, habitable floor ratio, 30% allowed, 31.79% proposed, 1.79 variance requested.
Good evening, how you doing?
Good, how are you? All right, let's get you sworn in.
Would you be kind enough to say your name and spell it, please?
Certainly. William Gentile, Gentile.
Mr. Gentili, do you swear or affirm that any statements and any testimony you give to the board today will be true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
Are you giving testimony as an expert?
I'm given expert architect.
Okay. Would you state your credentials, please?
Yes, I'm a licensed architect of New Jersey since 1997. I've done multiple homes throughout the state. I've been several meetings in regards to variances and stuff of that sort in this town, up and down the northeast coast here.
And your credentials as an architect are in good standing?
They are in good standings.
And your education, if you can just...
The University of New Mexico.
I think that's a first.
I was here one time before, so...
Okay, so that's the second, all right. Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There be no objection, the witness is accepted as expert in architecture.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
All right, I'm not sure if it's necessary to actually show you the plans and everything, because this house has just got its permit. It's a two-story home with an area in the attic that is tall enough to be used as a considered habitable space. And so we went for a permit for just the first and second floor, and with the idea that we'd like to get the additional square footage into the house. And so we're adding 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom that run down the center just below the ridge, windows out to the front, window out to the back. There's absolutely no change to the elevation. Excuse me, there is a slight change. We raised the ceiling over the staircase to get to the second floor, or excuse me, to the attic. It was a minor difference in pitch. But otherwise, there's very little. No, you couldn't even tell there was an attic space up there at all. So there would be no change or impact to the house and to the area around it. But I can use the map if you want me to.
All right, so you're saying you're just opening up one little piece of the roof to get clearance for the staircase. Otherwise, the roof is staying exactly as it is right now?
Exactly,
There's
yes.
no extension or anything else?
Exactly.
Does anybody have any questions?
I think, Mr. Chairman.
You're up.
Mr. Gentili, the photographs that accompanied the application, I think there's 5 of them. Those and dated May 8, well, they're marked received, dated May 8, 2024. Do you know who took those photographs?
I did.
All right, and they accurately depict what's the images that are set there?
That's what the existing house was before we got our permit.
All right. And the survey that accompanied the application, it didn't indicate who prepared the survey. That section of the survey wasn't, in the copies that I got, it didn't tell me who the surveyor was. Do you know who it was?
I tell you the truth, I don't remember.
But
However, we supplied the original survey with a stamp on it.
all right, and that survey, even though we don't know who prepared it, accurately depicts the conditions on the site?
Yes.
In terms of the floor area ratio, are you able to opine that the property can accommodate it and it's appropriate for it?
Yes.
And it's consistent, the property, when everything gets built out and completed, will be consistent with what's in the neighborhood?
Yes.
And if approved, that approval and the improvements will not have a substantial detrimental impact on the map?
Absolutely not.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I guess my only concern is that we got, you got a permit to redo the whole roof, and now we're coming back to fill in the middle. And if we came originally and tried to meet the habitable floor area, we might have to cut that a little short. How do we work around that a little bit? Because you have a lot that's too big, or too big, it's oversized, right? And then now we're over on the habitable floor area ratio and the habitable floor area. So can you talk to that a little bit?
Well, I believe that the original, when it was listed.
You follow what I'm saying?
In the, sorry?
You follow what I'm saying, Mike?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe
okay.
so. Well, the thing is, we were stuck with the fact that the lot is 10,000 square feet, 18% was only going to give us something about, give us 3,000 square foot house. With the garage, with the attic space, it was actually pushing us over that limit.
Right.
However, previously we were allowed to go actually up to, or at least we couldn't go past 3,220. But because we're a 10,000 square foot lot, the maximum we could go was 3,000 square feet. And so we wanted to the client really wanted to have the 2 bedrooms upstairs. I offered him the choice of putting 1 bedroom upstairs in order to just meet the 3,000 square feet. He was trying to push for the second for family reasons and the fact that he's has an extended family, they come to visit, they need the space, and the attic is just sitting there not being used. It has, has some mechanical system in there, and that's the extent of it. So it was going to make no difference to the exterior. It was still going to satisfy his needs for the number of bedrooms and bathrooms he needs. So we wanted to go for the full depth to, and again, it's down the center, it's rather a narrow space, but it does give him 2 bedrooms and a bath upstairs.
Anybody else have any comments or thoughts or questions? Please.
You're standing, you don't have to.
Sorry.
And it won't help you. Part of the dilemma that we have, or the challenge that we have, is that we need to demonstrate a hardship or under either C1 or C2 under the municipal land use law, with the second one being a flexible variance. And we're on the edge on that in order to get you home. If I'm saying that correctly, Mr.
I would think so. Yes, I would think so.
So in other words, even though you've presented very well and you've explained what you're trying to do and what the dynamics are, in order for the board to legally and lawfully approve the application, we need to meet those criteria for the statute. And I'm not sure we're there yet, because the lot is large. So it's not like you got exceptional narrowness or shallowness that creates a hardship. Again, this is not an argument, I'm just trying to explain.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, we actually wanted a larger house. We stuck to the exact footprint of what's there. And so what that gave us was smaller bedrooms, smaller interior spaces, and it left us with not feeling we could double up on children, we couldn't double up on uses. So again, we were looking for a location where we might be able to add additional square foot or bedrooms more so. Not so much the square foot as the bedrooms and the bathroom that were needed.
So are you saying that the physical features uniquely affect this property?
So
or that there's some extraordinary or exceptional situation that affects the property that creates this issue? I'm
No, I
trying to open
understand.
a door.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. I just wasn't presented with that since there was no, it was discussed with zoning that we couldn't go over because we want, this was the intent of the house. It was always the plan. And we didn't want to, we couldn't expand out any further than we did. We're keeping the footprint. I don't know, I guess I never thought, understood that this would be a question of whether this would value, or, you know, a valuable reason why we want it.
That's what us lawyers
Yeah.
do with all the laws that we pass to make things more difficult, so. We're elected
Well,
officials of being a former elected official.
Uh,
But are you saying that if it was approved, a deviation from this zoning ordinance, the benefit from the deviation would substantially outweigh the detriment?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that?
Are you saying that if this was approved, the benefit of the deviation of the approval would substantially outweigh any detriment that it would impose?
I think so. The client is not getting, I mean, he can't build his house the way he needs to with the requirements of living conditions.
So you're not saying you think so, you're saying that's true?
That's true.
I'm doing the best I can, Mr. Chairman.
Lead the horse to water.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, one of the challenges that's presented to the board, if they approve something and we don't cross the Ts and dot the Is, arguably it sets a precedent for someone else to come in and do something that would be difficult,
No, I certainly
all right?
understand.
So that's what the board's struggling with, at least in my observation, okay?
Anybody else have any thoughts or comments?
If I could, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Scott, is there any way that you can refashion this so that it comes in under without causing a major problem?
Well, it just cut up the 176 square feet, if that's what it comes down to. It, again,
It's only 10 feet wide, too.
if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do. But, again, if the client was adamant that this-
Somehow it would be reasonable to try and make it work better, if I can say it that way, rather than putting the board in a position where they need to deny something. Do you need time to talk to your client and come back?
No, I would, well, to tell you the truth, it won't matter to, because you're telling me this is what our limit is and we need to meet it, and he has agreed to that.
Actually, I want to be clear. I'm telling you what an applicant, whether it's you or anybody, your client or anybody else, needs to present to a zoning board of adjustment in order to qualify to get an approval of a variance. There are certain laws that need to be complied with. Again, I'm not being argumentative, I'm just trying to explain. So that I think the sense that you're getting, unless, and I know that others haven't spoken, the sense I'm getting is it's not like you have an undersized lot.
Sure.
And it's not like you have an irregular lot. So that in order to show a hardship, we got to find one. And so far, one doesn't really present itself, which goes back to not what your clients are trying to accomplish, but what this board is bound by in terms of the law. All right, and that if it if the board were to deviate from that, it could create problems. Now, you don't have anybody opposing the application as far as I can determine. But it might be in your client's best interest to figure out a way to get it into compliance. Is that a fair statement, Mr. Chairman?
I think that's a fair statement. I don't know if you have habitable floor area and habitable floor area ratio. I don't know if you can get the, one under. Maybe that would help a little bit.
I'm sorry, what was
Maybe
the-
the habitable floor area ratio might fall under quicker. I mean, I'm not doing any calculations offhand, but if one of them could fall under the requirement, that would probably help a lot. I don't know if
I
they're
understand what you're saying.
they're probably pretty well tied together.
They're tied together,
Yeah, that's-
exactly. It's
yeah.
not going to make a difference. Because if we did that, you're right, what the 3,000 square foot is that we could have done that to begin with and not even be here. Yeah.
That's a correct statement. The problem is the board's presented with something which is difficult, if I can say
No,
that.
I understand your position.
And they're trying, and I believe what the board's trying to do is find you a way to the promised land.
And I do have a way, and that's, I guess that's what we'll make that change so we fall within the guideline.
Right, so that we would need to have the applicant confirm what the applicant's going to do to get it to come into compliance. Somewhere down there in Tulane, they must have taught you something about this, right? Welcome to New Jersey.
New Mexico, not New Orleans.
So,
I guess do you want to adjourn, talk to your client and come back next time and see if we can, or do you want to try to come up with something for the next few minutes, or?
well, it doesn't, I mean, I think that the only solution is to, based on the fact that I don't seriously have some detriment or hardship, that it just gets cut back so that it's exactly 3,000 square feet.
But I would suggest to you that it would be helpful if we saw a plan that did that, because if we're trying.
But would it be necessary? If I brought it down to 3,000 square feet, there's no variance that I need.
I need to know, the board would be better served if the explanation of how you're going to get the 3,000 square feet were discussed. Are you changing things to the, I know you're going to change things.
Yes.
But the board would need to know what you're changing in order to be reasonably act on that. You follow what I'm saying?
Well, yes, I understand that, we have to close the case on it, basically, is that?
Yeah, because
what we're doing?
one of the things that I have to do is prepare a resolution
Mhm.
that actually delineates what's going on with some specificity. It might be if you get down under 3,000 square feet or at 3,000 square feet and you clear the floor area ratio, you might not need to come back. I mean, am I wrong?
I would think that sounds correct.
Well, that's the part I'm trying to get a grasp of, because if I do get it down, then there really isn't.
You don't need the variance for the floor area, you don't, so.
Don't need a variance at all for anything. Right.
So I'm suggesting, I won't speak on behalf of the board, that if you can get there, rather than getting a decision this evening that might be difficult for you, that you endeavor to try that.
I'll endeavor to try.
Because this board, if this board votes this evening,
It's going to vote no.
I'm not saying that, but it looks
Yeah.
like the road that we're on. Unless if someone disagrees with me, please.
No, that's where I'm stuck on, how to, as you said, how to bring it home.
And the only thing I was going to say is that you can't then come back unless you substantially change it if you wanted to. So that's why I think if you took the time to see if there's, between now and the next meeting, if there is a legitimate reason for the variance, then you could come back the next time. If not, I mean, I assume then you could just withdraw and just go to the building department.
Mr. Sherman's point's well taken. If a board makes the decision and it's an adverse decision, you just can't come back with a very substantially same plan. You would have to have another plan.
Right, right.
Because that's what the law provides. So what Mr. Sherman is saying is, it might be better to carry this matter and see what you come back with. Am I correct, Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Okay,
And I'm going to tell you, in my experience in 4.5 decades of practicing this, it is very rare for a board to take this kind of effort to make sure that things go more reasonably. I've been before boards where they just make the decision and you try and explain
Right,
that to your
right,
clients. All right.
okay, exactly.
Well, thank you, Mr. Jemas, for offering that clarity on our behalf, because we were all mute because of that confusion in our mind as well, because even though it's not much, but what is the hardship? If, as
Right,
I think Mr. Jemas has offered pretty solid suggestions that could help.
Well, I'm willing to come back to the board and, would have to go through the whole process, or what?
No.
Just gets on?
This matter would be carried without any further notice and without any further publication.
All right.
It just carries on to the next hearing.
You just have to make sure that Ms. Hollis has updated plans 10 days in advance, is it, Ms. Hollis?
Typically 10 days in advance, right?
Right? I don't
And
want
do
to
the
speak.
mailing all over again and all that as well?
No, no.
Carried to July 23rd.
Oh, July 23rd. Right.
Sorry.
I accept. Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you
very
for
much.
coming.
Yes.
Good night.
I think that's it. Just hold it. Adjourned.